good afternoon, everybody. Today we're going to talk about Lochinvar's ConXus Remote Connectivity module. It's kind of a brief presentation. We're going to walk through a little bit of the installation, how it works, what it does, and then we're going to look at a couple of live boilers as we move through today. So we'll go ahead and jump into this and get started. If you have any questions, throw them right into the chat there, and we'll make sure that we get them answered along the way. All right, so what is ConXus? So ConXus is kind of this way to link up with your boiler remotely. See what's happening. You basically on your smart device get an image or
I'll call you when we get to
of what's on the boiler screen is what you're going to get right there. So whatever's displayed on the screen, whatever you can access on the screen, you can then access through your smart device. And you can make adjustments. You can check the status, the performance checks that it talks about there. You know, as a contractor, you could take a look in there and say, hey, I don't like the way the boiler's operating as far as the cycling, and you can make those adjustments remotely. Or the customer says, I don't think my outdoor reset settings are correct. It's a little cold. You can adjust that without going out to the house. So nice way to check that out and do that, you know, from your office, if you will. A lot of what we're doing right now. You can use it on most internet compatible devices, as it talks about there, Apple and Google. There's actually an interface that I use that allows me to put it onto my laptop. When I show you that a little bit later, that's actually what we're going to be doing, is I'll be displaying it from my laptop. All right. And again, adjust your set points, whatever you've got going on, your reset curves, your pump delays, any of that stuff can be done remotely. You can also check it remotely. You know, sometimes we'll talk to a customer like, hey, what's this setting? I don't know. I'm not at the job. What a great way to be able to look at it and see what that setting was. So it works either wirelessly, or you can plug it in with a cable, whatever you got going on. There's the board itself. Now, ConXus is optional on all the products, the condensing boilers, I should say, with the Crest, the latest generation of the Crest. It comes installed with the Crest. It comes installed with the new Armor, and it does come installed on the new Power Fin. Those already have it right on board. Just basically connect the Wi-Fi to those and register the device, and you're going to have access to those remotely. There's a video on Lochinvar's YouTube channel just kind of going over how you put it in. Manuals online and will come with it. But again, everything that you can do at the boiler, you can see remotely. There's actually something that's extra that you can get remotely, and that is the historical data and graphs. Now, in most of our boilers, other than those last three that I just mentioned, the Crest, the Power Fin, and the Armor, you can't get any of that historical data. You can get that historical data right at the boiler. With all the rest, you can't. But if you put on the ConXus, you now can get historical data. So you can go back in time and see what the boiler did 30 days ago, what it was doing. You can get actual status at the time of an alarm and those sort of things. Those are pretty helpful. Basically anything since May of 2010 with the navigation dial, this is going to retrofit on. It does fit back with all of those. And there is a bracket that's required for a few of the older ones. And yes, right, it does connect to the night boiler. It'll connect right on with that. So you have some of these, the WH at your site, and I think you have some of these, the KB, you have some KB ends at your site, and can be put right onto those. Back into there. So KBN, WHN, they're showing it installed. Where is that installed? You take that front bezel off that's got the display on it right now, and it kind of mounts on the back side of it. And that's where that unit's going to install in there. Fairly simple plug and play installation. You disconnect the cable right now that goes to the user interface. You connect that cable to the ConXus board. ConXus board comes with a cable that you then connect it to the user interface. And all it's doing is replicating the display on your smart device. And then there's a little plug and play harness there to plug into the the transformer to get it that 24-volt power that it needs. It's going to power right off of that. And Ray, yeah, it's exactly like a BMS. It's really what it does is it gives you that sort of information. Very similar to what you're doing there, without the several $100,000 cost of setting up one of those systems. So setting it up, pretty easy. Once you put the card in and you turn it on, using your smart device, you go to your Wi-Fi and you'll find it, and there it is. It's going to be the ConXus. You'll select it. Now, once your phone connects to it, you're controlling that ConXus card with your phone. You're going to go in, select your Wi-Fi network. Just choose it, connect to your Wi-Fi network, put the password in. Once you do that, the card is now connected to your Wi-Fi, or if you plug it in, it automatically does it. And then once you do it, it goes and it communicates up to the cloud. When it communicates up to the cloud, it begins to share its data in the cloud. And that's really where we connect to. We're not going to connect directly to the boiler itself. We're connecting to the cloud, and it's connecting to the cloud. So it works pretty good that way. It's not a direct into the boiler connection, if you will. Once you're done, it's going to tell you your Wi-Fi network connection is complete. Create your account, your ConXus account, and then you're going to go in and register your device. The two scan buttons, if you use those, you can actually use the camera on your phone, your iPad, whatever you're using, to go ahead and scan the QR code that comes with the card itself, or the serial number barcode for the boiler. Now, real quick, that QR code is attached to the ConXus card. There is an extra one on there. I recommend doing this part here before you put that bezel back on. So you can connect all the wires, you can power it up, keep the bezel out. But just in case you got to read any of the numbers off, it's easier to do it when you have that card right at you. It is definitely fine print that you're going to be looking at. So unless you got really, really good eyes and can see in the dark, you definitely want to keep that out before you finish this step. All right, let us go and take a look at a boiler right now. There we go. And I'm hoping you guys are all looking at a ConXus screen right now. So this is a list of boilers. These are all functioning right now. Let's go see if we can find one that's actually kind of running right now. We'll take a look right here. So I'd select it. This boiler is actually running for domestic hot water mode as it is. So there we have run. We have a hot water demand. Got a set point of 180. Modulation rate of 44%. And it's now 33%. And it's kind of giving me all the temperatures of what's happening. Now this boiler is a bank of 3, and it's piped in primary, secondary, and it uses a condensed water loop in the summertime to do heating and cooling. So that's why the system supply temperature is at 89 degrees. The tank right now is at 138 degrees for domestic hot water. Here's where the boiler is operating. So that gives you that right now, what's happening. And that's the same thing I would see if I were looking at the screen. Certainly jump in here and get some more information if I want to. Really get into where the fan speeds are. If we were using one of the add-on mixing, the multi-loop controller, we could actually see the temperatures in 3 additional loops, letting me know what's going on. Ray, you're talking about a BMS system. If we were doing that, we would see some information from it right here. And then, just jump down. This is like scrolling through the boiler is what that is. And don't worry, Bill, we'll go see what the boiler that's locked out is locked out on. I'm hoping it's one of yours, and we'll go take a look at it. What's my pump doing? In this case, this is not the cascade leader, so I can't see that information here. Get into some history. So here, they had a manual reset high limit. I know they've been doing some work, but let's see what was going on at that moment in time, which is what we're going to do. So this is going to take us back to May 18th at basically 8 a.m. And take a look at the inlet and outlet temperatures that were going on. So here you go. I had a pretty steady inlet temperature going on, and then all of a sudden my outlet temperature spikes up. It's probably giving me an idea that we had a flow issue right here as we're moving along smooth, or this is the moment where we fired and we didn't have flow and we spiked up through there. So that might, take a look at that and then talk to the guy on site. There's always a guy on site there, and have him go and start with taking a look at the pump and what was going on there. So just an interesting way. And I think they actually did, as I recall, they had a pump issue out there and just recently replaced the pump. So before you go what's happening. And you can always look back. Service notes, not a lot of people make use of this, but you can actually put service notes in here. And if I save it, it actually puts it into the history of that boiler. And it'll put the date and time on there. So do them a favor and not save it. Extra information in there. Setup can actually go through and we could adjust set points here. How about this? Here's some temperature alerts. If I have a low domestic hot water tank temperature, I can get an alert. If I have a low system supply temperature, I can get an alert. So it gives me some different things, some different communication with my boiler. Here I would be adjusting various set points. Kind of a quick setup. I like this here, this screen. So this point here is if we're making adjustments, it's kind of going to tell me, hey, here's what the temperature is right now. What that adjustment's going to impact. Now, important to note, this particular boiler doesn't use any outdoor reset. It uses a fixed target temperature. But if we adjust this, you see how that target temperature and that dark gray square is moving? It's actually letting you know what the change that you're currently making is going to do. If I wanted to send it, I'd obviously click here to send update. It's going to ask me, do I really want to do this? But in this case, I'm just going to clear changes, and we're going to go back to where we are. We're not going to mess up anybody's parameter programming. Different setup screens that we can get at and what we want to do. If I had a boiler that maybe was cycling more than I wanted it to, I can get right into here and I can adjust some of the stuff, modulation factor. And that's kind of changing the logic within the boiler as to how fast it's going to respond. If I want to change ramp delay, I'm going to do that right here. This is where I'm going to change and adjust the ramp delay. Now you notice it's not set up in this. This is a member boiler, not a leader. So when we're in the cascade, we actually set all that information up in the lead boiler. Let's going to jump back here to the main screen. We're going to kick back into our account, and we'll go back and take a look for Bill on what's locked out. So this is the leader in that group there, Bill, and I think this one is down. They're doing some work on it right now. I think it's actually been they shut it down because everything else is continuing to run, and this is the lead boiler. So you can go in here and just take a look at the cascade. So it's letting you know that this one's locked out right now. This boiler's doing domestic hot water right now, and this guy's doing nothing. So it's a lot of stuff you can see remotely as to what's happening. I do want to show you guys. I think it's the new Crest. There's one of the newer ones on here. I just have to. I almost have my screen almost too far away that I almost can't see it. So I'm either going to need to get a bigger screen or move closer at some point in time. But let's just go down through and see. Take a look at some of the other screens. So it knows when you put it in what boiler is there, and it'll give you the appropriate information for that boiler. Take a look at this. See if they're heating their pool right now. This pool boiler. There we go. Know exactly how they're doing it because its supply temperature is 150 degrees out, or 150-degree water heading out there right now. Go take a look at, jump into the history and look at the runtime history. And that gives us an idea of, this has really got a lot of ignition attempts right now. So 20,000 hours of run and 130,000 ignitions. It's not the end of the world, but it probably could get a little better. It's about 6.5 cycles an hour. I think we can certainly live with that. And if we wanted to improve it, this might be where we would do it. And it's kind of letting you know that it spends about half of its time above 50% firing rate and half of its time below 50% firing rate. Let's go back and find a different style boiler to kind of take a peek at. There's one particular one that I actually want to see if it's still on here. Sometimes we get access to the boilers for a little while and then they take them away and do something else. And these are just, other boilers. Oh, yeah, I think it's that guy right there. It's currently offline. So that means it's either been shut down for the summer or the Wi-Fi connection is down to it right now. This one is cool. I don't know how much data may not be current. That's okay. If I can just, there's a screen that I think's worth taking a look at here. Let's see if we can bring that one up. Yes, we might. Yeah. There it is. See that screen right there, that wet O2? So that's something new that's been added into the Crest as an option. You can actually kind of get an idea of combustion remotely. So that's an O2 sensor that's in there. And it's basically looking at it and it's going to let you know where that boiler is, as far as lean or rich and those are things. So you could see it remotely and also be like, hey, my boiler's operating out here in where it shouldn't be. You notice that it does not give you CO, and that's intentional, really, because CO sensors are going to need to be replaced. And we don't want to have a scenario where somebody doesn't replace the CO sensor and they're relying on, that there and thinking, hey, my boiler's running okay, and it ends up not being. So that's an intentional thing. Right now, this is just going to be so people can see it. And this is on the Crest, I think, fourth quarter. We'll see that rolling out more consistently. But in this case, this boiler's offline, but it's just, this is the last time that it basically communicated with the control, and it retains that bit of information. And yeah, so nothing's updated on that one yet. Let's go. Oh, this guy's running right now here. There we go. So this boiler's got a call for domestic hot water. So we just fired. It's at 64% right now. Here's my domestic water temperature at 134 degrees. You can see right now that the water is cold in the boiler. It's cool right now. So coming in at 92, going out at 89. This will, when we generally first fire, we tend to see this negative delta T, and this will even out here fairly quickly. And as it changes, it will update it on the screen here, kind of letting us know what's happening. An 82-degree flue temp. I guess we could live with that. That's not bad. If it would stay there all the time, that'd be some phenomenal system efficiency we'd be getting there. Here's our flame signal, 9.7 microamps going in there. Let's jump in and see this kind of over in this screen right here and give you an idea, where the fan speed is, where its target, what it's at. Just a real quick, so you see this here, my modulation at 64%, and that correlates to this output rate of 6.43 volts out. Those are generally going to be the same. This is the boiler telling you what it's doing, and it's displaying that on its main screen right now. And then this right here is letting, if I was connected to that building management system, right, I'd be telling the building management system I'm at 64% and doing it with a 0 to 10 volt signal. So kind of some neat stuff. I mean, it depends on how deep in the weeds you want to be with your boiler, outdoor air temperature. But when we get into this, let's just jump over to setup here. I'll go down here to the service notification. That Will Fisher guy. So this is where you can add or subtract friends in there. So you could add more people to get notifications if you wanted to. If you want to get rid of them, basically you can unfriend them by clicking that unlink button. And you can also put in here what parameters they're going to get. And we talk about setting that, in the service class, we talk about setting that service notification. I will tell you, it's a whole lot easier to do it through ConXus to set it up than it really is to do it standing in front of the boiler, if anybody's done that before. Device information, so where the boiler's at. This is the serial number of that ConXus card that's in there, is what that's given us. Let's go back home, see what's happening there. We haven't gotten an update. Let's see, 2 minutes ago is when it got its last update with the cloud. And it tries not to do it all the time because it's trying not to really clog up the lines of what's happening. So let me back out of here. Go back to our list of boilers that we have. And any questions, anybody? If you want to go ahead and unmute yourself.